Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and you are now in E's World. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today's video is kind of like a spin-off of my little apartment series that I have going on here. I've noticed you guys, you love the apartment tour videos of me shopping around places in Philadelphia, so I figured why not sit down and talk to you guys about my thought process, what it's really like apartment shopping in Philadelphia, and just everything that runs through my mind, because it's honestly a lot. Like, there's so much to think about, and I know I don't see that much content on here about apartment hunting in Philadelphia, the ins and outs, what you should look for, all that stuff. So that is what this video is going to consist of today. Depending on how much I get through, I might make a part 2, a part 3, I don't know, we'll see, depending on what you guys think, because ultimately I'm making content for you and for me, but mainly for you guys. So leave a comment down below what you think. Don't forget to go back and look at my other apartment tour videos. There might be more coming soon. I have an apartment tour, I have about 2 videos that I filmed already. I don't know if I'm gonna post it because the footage isn't really up to par about how I like it, but you know, just let me know what you guys think. It is another option for you guys to be able to see. It's like a loft style type, so yeah, let me know. But let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is budget. Budget for me consists of how much the rent is, are utilities included, what is the parking fee like because I do have a car, what is the pet fee because I do have a dog, what else? Off the top of my head, that's what I think right now. So budget for me, what am I willing to spend? And that is so crucial because I will be living by myself, so I need to learn how to budget for me. So one thing I definitely suggest doing is asking the landlord or whoever, the leasing company or whoever you're going through to look through these apartments, ask about the deposit. Every building or every landlord has a different type of deposit, especially in Philadelphia. You could have a deposit of just the first month's rent, or the first and last month's rent, or first month's rent, last month's rent security deposit, first month's, last month's parking fee, if there is a parking fee. So definitely keep that in mind, because you don't want to find an apartment you love, you get ready to sign the lease and everything, and then you're hit over the head with this big cost that you had no idea even existed. So I definitely say ask while you guys are touring, just to make sure you have all your ducks in a row to see what you're able to afford. The next big thing for me is parking. Like I said, I do have a car, and Philadelphia, it is a very big crowded city, so parking is very limited at certain areas in the city, depending on where you live, like a house or row home or an apartment building. Make sure you ask about the parking fee. If you guys are searching online before you go, you should be able to find that information relatively quickly under the information on the apartment website, but just in case it's not there, make sure you look. Ask if the parking is included in the rent, or if that is an additional fee. That might be a deal breaker for you, I don't know, but yeah, make sure you ask, because like I said, you don't want to be hit over the head with a parking fee that you had no idea about. So yeah, also, if there is no parking on the vicinity, make sure you find out, is there on-street parking? But if there isn't, then I definitely say maybe reconsider, because sometimes in the city you're forced to pick, do I want to bring a car? Do I even want to try and look to buy a car if I'm moving to the city? So make sure you think about that as well. Sorry y'all if the camera angle looks a little bit different. Your girl's battery died, had to change the battery. Please make sure you ask about that, because that honestly could turn into another bill. Like my previous apartment tour that I posted a few weeks ago, I loved the apartment building. It was beautiful. It was in the heart of downtown, so I didn't really think too much about the parking until I got there and I asked, I'm like, okay, like there's no street parking, so I have a car, like where can I put my car? Then he's like, oh, there's another building, which is the parking garage. It's literally right next to the building. As you guys can see, I'll link the video up here. It was next to the building, but it was through a third party. It wasn't through the apartment building. So one, it was through a third party. Two, it wasn't just the residents of that apartment building. It was people who are visiting Philadelphia just for the day, or just people who work around there. So it wasn't as private as I would have liked it to be, because anyone can just walk by your car and like anything could happen. So that, also you didn't have an assigned spot. It was just a parking garage. Anyone could park there. You didn't have a assigned spot, so you could be on the first floor one day, fifth floor another day. So that was another thing. I'm like, ugh. And then the bill was $425 a month. So yeah, you do the math. I didn't want to pay rent on top of utilities, on top of the parking bill. So please ask about the parking. I know a lot of people who live in the city, they do not have cars because they rely on public transportation. Philadelphia, it's very connected. It's either you get on the SEPTA bus, you hop in the Uber, you hop on the subway. So those three options. So a lot of people, they do not have cars. So if you're thinking about moving here with a car, depending on what neighborhood you live in, please, please, please ask about the parking. That is very important. Also ask about the water. When I mean ask about the water, is the water included in the rent? Sometimes the websites will say the water is included in the rent, but once you get the lease, you'll be like, scrolling through, make sure nothing's funky, fishy going on, and it'll say only cold water is included in the lease, or hot water and cold water is included in the lease. And that means that that is included in your rent price. So if it just says cold water, the landlord pays for the cold water, you pay for the hot water. It's not both. So make sure you know about that when you're getting into your budget. The next thing I would say is, what type of building do you want to live in? So a lot of Philadelphia, they're row homes, but the people who are renovating these homes, they're turning the homes into like 3-story houses, you'd say. So it's like each level is an apartment. So especially in college, I lived at Temple University in off-campus housing, and they turned a lot of those houses into college housing, you'd say. But we were also still in the neighborhood with people who've lived there for many years, so it was a mix of people. So half of it was people who lived in the neighborhood for many years, and half of it was us. So also make sure that that's something you'd be okay with, because I know it gets difficult at times. Like if people are throwing parties, it gets loud, people in the neighborhood, it's just a lot. So please make sure you're comfortable with that. But anyway, back to the structure of the house. It's 3 levels. You could be on one floor, another person could be on another floor, then another person can be on another floor. So that's 3 floors, 3 different people that live in the one building. So make sure you're okay with that. If you are, that's cool. Sometimes those do work out to be cheaper in price, because even within that, you could rent a room. So that's one way you can look at it, but that's another option. Also, there's apartment buildings. That's pretty much everywhere in America, but that's another option. And then there's also an option, just a house, a straight house. Sometimes the rent is cheaper to live in a house in Philadelphia versus an apartment building, because you don't have to pay for like the amenity fee, like the gym, like a dog park or something like that. But make sure once you talk to your landlord, see what is included in the rent, because plenty of times I've seen beautiful houses, and the rent is like $1,200, but then nothing is included, or it's like $1,300 and nothing is included. I have to pay for water, electricity, sewage bill, trash bill, and that adds up, so it's kind of like give or take, what are you willing to pay for. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. Pet fees, they can rack up. I have a little dog, so I always think about, are pets allowed? Number one. If they're not, it's completely off the list. Also, what kind of dogs? I mean, I have a little Chihuahua, so she doesn't really have any breed restrictions against her, so that I don't really have to worry about. But the price, The price sometimes is, it's not pretty. Like, for example, some buildings, they are, the rent is like $35 a month. Then you have to pay a pet fee of like $500 initially. So that's a lot, but keep that in mind as well. And then the last thing I would like to touch on that's very important for all of you who might be out of state who are looking to live in Philadelphia is what type of neighborhood you want to live in. So I kind of only focus on the college towns right now, but if I do a part 2, I can focus on the other neighborhoods in Philadelphia. But Philly, it's big, but in each area there's kind of a college town. Like Manayunk, for example, that is a college town with college kids who go to Chestnut Hill, or maybe LaSalle. I think LaSalle is in West Philly. I don't know. I'll have to double check, but I know Chestnut Hill kids, they like to go to Manayunk, and you know, because it's like a strip with like bars and restaurants and all that stuff. So make sure you know if you're okay with living around college kids, depending on like your age group, because I know if you're like have a family or something, you might not want to be around bars and a lot of lively people, especially like I said, if you have a family. So that's something to consider. The North Philadelphia area, that's where I live, Temple University, so a lot of that is becoming a college town, if you'd say. So a lot of the college kids, they're moving into the neighborhoods, and like I said, it's kind of like a difficult thing going on right now. So if you're okay with living around college kids, then hey, you might want to move there, because the rent is a little cheaper, since like I said, college kids do live there for school. So you might be able to find a room, or just one floor, like I said earlier, like they have the 3 level floors. So maybe that could be something you're interested in. If you're just looking for something temporary, you could possibly even sublease a room in these college towns. It's very flexible. Also, another college town is University City. This area, it's surrounded by Drexel University, Community College of Philadelphia, UPenn. So that's about 3 colleges. CCP, it's a commuter school, so no one lives at that school, but there are surrounding neighborhoods that they could live at. So keep that in mind as well. If you're young like me and you don't mind the noise and the bars and the lively crowds, then that's a good area for you, because since there are a lot of college kids, there are a lot of businesses, a lot of bars, a lot of things to do on the weekends with your friends. So that could be an option for you if you're interested. Center City. Now this, like if you're like me, you love the city. Everything is in one spot. They have every club, every restaurant, adventures, museums, anything you can think of, like a major city, that's downtown Center City. So if you like liveliness, clubs, bars, all that stuff, you just want to walk out your door and you'll be, I don't know, at like a little coffee shop, then that's for you. But like I said previously, it is pretty pricey, because again, you're paying for the location. So make sure you put that into your budget. If you do want to live there, maybe don't bring a car, so you don't have to worry about the very expensive parking fee that might accumulate, or I don't know, just keep that in mind. Now for the neighborhood, if you're going for a more historic feel, there is this neighborhood called Old City that consists of businesses and restaurants. That's kind of on the pricey area because it's not that far from downtown. It's actually maybe like on a good day, like a 10-minute drive. 10, not 5. Philadelphia traffic, you'll never get there in 5 minutes, but yeah, that's about a 10-minute drive. So I definitely look into Old City. It's a lot of brand new builds. So if you're looking for something with big open windows in the heart of the city, but it's not in Center City, that is an option, but the price ranges are pretty much the same. With the parking, there's rarely any on-street parking there. It's a lot of garage parking, or you'll have to buy a spot. So that's another thing, buying a spot. That is a thing here, especially downtown, because parking is very limited. So that can be an option. Also, Old City is a little pricey because a few steps west, it's the water. If you're familiar with the area, the Delaware River is right there. So if you want to have a nice overview of the water. You're paying for the view, so keep that in mind. That is all for my Philadelphia apartment hunting spiel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please let me know if this was helpful so I can do another video breaking down maybe more neighborhoods for like families, or let me know what you guys want to know about Philly, because honestly I've been there a lot. I know a little thing or two, but I'm also apartment hunting for myself. That's going to be fun. I might have already found an apartment and signed a lease and all that, but I don't know. You'll just have to stay tuned for more content. But thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'll see you in the next video.